Welcome to another episode of Acoustic Chef. This is your boy D. Will.
And this is Damn Gina. Damn.
This is Capel.
And this is your girl Ebony.
Wait, my bad.
How's it on me?
Well, I just thought you was gonna introduce the show and everything. My bad. I got a little confused, but it's all good.
We have to do what D. Will says. You didn't hear the whole conversation just now? He introduces the show, so
Yeah,
we gotta follow his lead.
You're right. We gotta let Daddy make his. He got to do everything the way Daddy got to do everything. So okay.
Man, I just woke up, so I'm not gonna entertain this foolishness or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let y'all win or whatever. I like that shirt you got on, Uncle Capel.
I appreciate it. Compliments of my wife. She ordered me a couple of shirts from a black-owned company. This was one of them. Sweatshirts and hoodies.
That's dope. Yeah. For those of y'all who listening and can't see, he got a shirt on that says melanin, and it has different shades of black on it or whatever. It ain't really got the light skin though. You know what I'm saying? That's
under the M and the E.
Yeah, Regina, you barely made the cut. Regina, you right here on the first one.
I think it's the lighting in here. You know how they do Beyonce. They light her up way, way lighter than she is. The lighting.
Yeah, we're fine with it. We left them off the shirt because remember, like the paper bag test, y'all left us off. So when we make the shirts, we don't get all the high yellows can't make the shirt, the graphics.
Yeah, that's cold.
What's the name of the company, Capel?
You know what? I have to I got to get back with you. I'll let you know by the end of the show. What the company is, because it has nothing to a lot of people make these shirts, so you can really Google this.
Yeah,
like
I've seen
melanin,
them.
and then you can find a bunch of companies, but this particular company, I have to get it. I have to look for it, but I'll let you know.
Okay. Cool.
That's good.
Yeah. So how y'all doing this weekend? How y'all doing this week? How everything going?
I had a great week. It's been spring break. I feel sad that I feel like I need more days of spring break.
Boy,
not enough.
These spring break days, I sure miss them. I'll be ready when they come and be sad when they leave. Tomorrow, back to the real world.
For real. We went to Galveston yesterday, me and the kids or whatever. We had a pretty good time or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to rent some slingshots and shoot out there, but it was too cold. But people were still out there.
Slingshots? Oh, you talking about the vehicle? Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, I was thinking you get in and fly out into the water.
Went back to David and Goliath. You trying to hurt people on the beach or something? What's going on?
Nah, man.
I got that vaccination shot though. I got that first shot. Yeah, man. I got it.
Oh, that's cool. So how you feeling?
I felt fine. My I heard that this was gonna happen. My mom and dad got it, and my wife got it, and the arm was a little bit sore. And after the first day, but other than that, I felt fine. No issues at all.
It's you got the Moderna.
I got Pfizer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got Pfizer, so I'll get my second one this week, and then I should be good. Hopefully, I don't have any side effects. I've heard the second shot gives you these crazy side effects, so I don't want to.
All right, that's what's up. Cool.
All right, well, let's get into it. It's coming to the end of Women's History Month. Can y'all hear me? Because I see looks on y'all's faces.
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't know why Capel looking like that.
I just get in the days, man.
He always gives that constipated look whenever he can't hear me, and then he says we can't hear you.
He was waiting on me to say that.
The first that constipated look, I was waiting for you to say we can't hear you.
I gotta start looking at myself so I can stop looking constipated.
Please stop, because that's the look you have. Anyways, Women's History Month is coming to a close, and we want to spotlight a Black woman here, a Black female business owner, entrepreneur, author. She's a nurse. She hails from the city of St. Louis, my hometown, and she has a lot to say about females and reproductive organs, and she's here to talk about her latest book. It's called Pussy Smells Like Pussy. And so immediately when I saw the title, I was intrigued. I grew up with this young woman, and she's here today to enlighten us on the pussy. So, Kirsten Wilford, how you doing, sis?
I'm good. I have a toddler yelling in the background, but I'm pretty good.
It's okay. We understand. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, good. How are you all?
Oh, we
We're
are
Doing
good,
good.
Miss
well,
Tracy.
doing
Yeah.
well. Yep. So tell
So
us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm from St. Louis, like Tina said. She's known me literally all of my life. Born and raised, and I went to college at Mizzou, got 2 degrees from Mizzou, got a bachelor's in health sciences, and I have a bachelor's in nursing as well. I'm currently in grad school for a master's in nursing, and I'm a registered nurse about 6 years now. Um, I'm pretty sure y'all hear my cow yelling.
Yes, we hear.
what child? I don't hear anything. What are y'all talking about? Nah.
Thank you. She wants me
Look,
to
it's
pick
doing the
her.
most.
Yeah, this is how my house goes. I'm a single mother, as you can hear.
Yeah.
I've got about 6 years in nursing. I've been in labor and delivery. Now I'm in pediatrics. I'm actually a school nurse. Um, my business is a doula services. So it's called Birth and Queens, based in St. Louis. We have 4 doulas altogether. We've got a postpartum doula and 3 birth doulas. And we pretty much serve all over. I don't think there's a hospital we haven't been in yet within St. Louis. If I start naming hospitals, y'all start looking at me crazy. So I'm not gonna name them.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else about myself. I said student, mother, business owner, still a nurse. I'm still working within the hospital. And I don't want to say activist or a philanthropist, but I'm pretty active within the community. So I'm on the board for the Sickle Cell Association as well. My daughter has sickle cell, so I'm pretty passionate about that.
Yeah.
And then I also work within the community, of course, with the doula business because it's community health altogether.
Okay. So talk to us about this book that you got out because I want to hear about the motivation behind it. You know, that name, like Regina said when she told us the name, I was like, man, that name just made me want to go see what this book about. So talk about the book and like what was your motivation behind writing it?
So it was really very, very, very random. So sometimes I go on little, I wouldn't call it like rants, I call it TED Talks on Facebook.
Yeah.
Everybody like asks me a bunch of questions because I have history in women's health. So I know a little something. And sometimes you see those conversations on social media where people basically a lot of times it's men trying to tell women what their pussy should smell like, or they test a picture of the underwear and there's nothing in the underwear, and I'm like, yeah, this is what this person have going right now. So
She is going so hard in the background.
give me 1 second.
Tell her she can come on the show. She might want to sit in there with you.
No, she can't come. No.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hold it. I was like, oh my God, she is going so hard in the
Her name
background.
is Harlem. She's so cute and she is funny too. She is hilarious, that little girl. So I don't know what she got to be watching for her to be making.
I'm like, come here and make my breakfast now. You in there talking.
She didn't even want breakfast. She literally just wanted me to pick her up and take her to the bathroom because she had to pee.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's what she was. I thought she was watching something on TV. I was like,
She was saying,
enjoying
come
that
and get, no, she was saying, come and get me. Come and pick me up.
show.
But she hears us. She's got like, I could never work from home. I've tried it like several times because with me being a school, like I work as a school nurse, but I work for a hospital. So when everybody's like on spring break and winter breaks, they put us within our office over at the children's hospital. But the entire BJC is like working from home. So yes, ma'am. Okay. So everyone's working from home and like she just does not, it doesn't work from the
Yeah.
house. And we don't do daycare because of the pandemic. So it was great. I salute everybody that works from home with toddlers. It's not for me.
Yeah.
So back to how I got to the title. Something I used to always say, and I just say it, and I'd be like, pussy smells like pussy. Like just it doesn't smell like, butterflies, roses, and flowers. This is
Straight
legit
up.
what it is. Like this
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
So one of my friends was like, you should do a YouTube channel or you should write an ebook. And I was like, ugh, I'll be flagged a ton on YouTube if I constantly say that over and over. I'm like, can be the title of a YouTube show. Let me write a book. Yes, ma'am. She wants her phone in the bathroom. So I
couldn't.
Hold up. Your sound went out. Oh.
No, she did it on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But these are the sign of the times,
Yeah.
And it's very difficult, for any parent, because I think we saw not that long ago, it was a news correspondent that was professional and had the background, and the kids came in and he's like trying to get the kids out. And it's been something in trying times for all parents. And, your kids are not actresses and actors. They're not going to stop. It's
that's
real life.
It's ghetto.
The mom ran in are you talking about when the mom ran in, the little girl came in like dancing, and then the baby came in and the walker? And then
I think that was probably,
and she was sliding around trying to get the kids out.
I wasn't even talking about that one, but yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine too. Oh no, no. So I was just going back into between the YouTube channel and the ebook, and I was like, no, YouTube, I'd be flagged like a million times. So then I literally started writing, on your iPhone, you can write on the little notes section. I was like, let me just write like 15 things that, it's common things that you hear or people talk about a ton of times. And they could be true sometimes. A lot of times they're myths, but let's kind of like debunk those myths and bring some science in, of course, because I'm in grad school, so everything is evidence-based research.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's bring some facts in, because of course I'm talking from experience, and I can say, I'm a registered nurse, I've got history in women's health, but people are like, okay, give me more. But I can do that. So I just wanted to keep it short, but get to the point about a ton of things.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you did more than 15 facts, you'd lose people. So I just stuck with 15 facts. I've been writing them. I was writing them on the note, and I would just come back to it when I think of something new. And then finally, I just put it all together.
I think that for the most part, a lot of the stuff that men think. Oh, you muted still?
Keep going, Damon. She just muted herself.
Well, I think that a lot of the stuff that we think is like shrouded in like stigma and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody may have said something one time, and so now, may have said it like Plies say she got that water. So now men are looking for that water. Like, dude, what are you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's definitely stigmas based, and I know like around pop culture, and it's just like even with women. When I was growing up, we did have a class in 7th grade to watch somebody having a baby, but when it really came to your body, I knew that's where my vagina was or that whatever, but just the different processes within the body, like even like with ovulation and periods and things like that on rap videos or whatever, people like wet. Well, she's ovulating, like, or maybe she has an infection, like.
And then you don't really think of like, I mean, even after I went to nursing school, like, of course, you study one thing for a short time and you go on to the next thing. So that conversation isn't had a ton in nursing school, a ton in my other degrees in sciences as well. So it's like, you just find out along the way, like what's what. And I don't remember my health class being that informative. I don't know about you all. And then your parents are scared to have that conversation with you. Like, so
a lot of them probably didn't even know exactly what's going on with their own bodies.
No, truly, because I've watched some parents try to inform their, I guess you say the younger adults, they're not teenagers, but young 20s. You still go to your mom about simple things. And I see some of them trying to like, okay, give them those little refreshers to like spray in your underwear. And I'm like, no, don't do it. Please don't do it. But it's because of things that they were taught. And it wasn't breaking down. So, blind leading the blind.
If pussy doesn't smell like pussy, then most likely
we got a problem.
It's a hygiene. It's mostly a hygiene thing, right?
More than likely is a hygiene thing. And sometimes, and I won't even say hygiene thing, because then you'll think, oh, okay, well, she's probably a little dirty. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
a lifestyle thing. It could be something that they're eating. It could be
Yeah.
something like, I know after giving birth, giving birth changes everything from your toddler yelling in the background of podcast
Yeah.
to just the way things work down there. I know I had a bunch of, this is like super vulnerable. I had a bunch of issues after I had my daughter.
Mhm.
And then I like went to my 6-week appointment and I'm like, oh, they're gonna think like, oh, she couldn't wait 6 weeks. She was just, I hadn't even looked at it. Like I was like, no, like I haven't even done anything. So, but I had issues for like a year long after, and it had
Yeah.
nothing to do with my hygiene. It was just my body
It's
changed after
hormonal and
having.
stuff.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
hormonal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not always hygiene wise, because literally, I'm probably like, I don't know if I say I'm super a germaphobe, but like I was freaking out. Like my doctor, I used to work with her in labor and delivery, so I text her before my 6-week appointment. I'm like, I think I need to come in a little earlier because something's just not right, and
Yeah.
that literally just has something to do with, usually women bleed for for a week on
Mhm.
their period, but after you give birth, sometimes you can bleed for up to those 6 weeks before you go back. So it was more so the hormonal and me still bleeding, and I
Yeah.
was breastfeeding, and then I stopped breast. It was just so, it can be
Oh,
anything sometimes. The soap you use.
yeah.
So you think you being hygienic, going, getting that soap that smells great, but it's not great for down there.
Right. And it makes
I mean,
things worse. Yeah.
how
Mhm.
are women supposed to douche, or is there like a
No,
natural that women not at all?
mm-mm. No, I wouldn't recommend it. As a medical professional, I wouldn't recommend douching, and I wouldn't recommend. There's the huge fad with the yoni steams and the pearls and all that. And I kind of just like want to pull my eyes out when I see somebody advertising it. But it's like a new fad, and it's hard because a lot of Black women have started these businesses. And it's like,
Yeah.
dang, if I say this, I sound like a hater. And I don't want to sound like a hater, but like I have friends who are ER nurses, and you have women coming in who have burns down there from doing the yoni steams,
Wow.
or literally the steams will cause a bacterial infection. Um, so no, you should not do douche because your body self cleans. It does what it needs
Yeah.
to do. And if there's something that it doesn't do on its own, then you need that assistance with the antibiotics or something, or change your soap. Sometimes even like I have a friend, I suggested her change her detergent. She changed to the clear free, and kind of things settled a little bit.
Yeah.
It's good that
So
you said that, because the steaming, like I actually did do one of those steams because one of my friends was like, hey, let's have a spa day. So a bunch of us went and did, so if the guys, if you don't know about the steaming, unless there's some different types, it's basically this seat, I guess you sit on, maybe
Mhm.
kind of, I don't want to say it's like a
Mhm.
toilet, and you just
Just
sit
like a
open.
toilet.
Yeah, and steam. And steam,
Yeah.
it feels great. So in our mind, it's like, oh, we're cleansing. I don't know what's going on, but it feels good to sit on with this hot steam coming up.
And
So
it's hard for me to say, like, don't do that. I would say I wouldn't say don't do it, but I wouldn't recommend it.
yeah, yeah.
That I would never like say don't do that, because some people have issues with cramping and other things, and I'm with being a doula, I'm all about natural things, so I
Mhm.
try to like not say no to natural things, but I also know the harm that this
Yeah.
natural thing can do,
Yeah.
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
It's
Yeah.
it's hard to get people out of their psyche and their ideologies or whatever. I had somebody was arguing on the internet, I don't know, Facebook or something like that a few months ago about washing dishes in cold water and stuff like that.
Mm.
And this chick was going hard, like, you can't do that, and woo woo, you got to have soap and hot water. Like, who told you that you had to have hot water to wash it?
Right.
We all do it because our parents did it, they grandparents, so we all think that is but really the hot water is not killing any germs or whatnot. You know what I'm
Well, I
saying?
don't know if I agree with that. It may not kill all germs, but
It's
it's
not.
killing.
It's
So you
not,
gonna tell?
cuz I'm telling you
Okay.
that it is not. Go do the research. Nobody's doing the science on it. We just saying we need hot water. Why?
And the crazy
Well,
thing is that bacteria loves warm areas.
You know
So
what I'm
the
saying?
fact that we
warm areas,
use
warm, not hot.
But it's
It's
not.
scalding hot. Like
It's
if it's
not killing
boiling,
you.
because
If it's
that's why
not
we boil our kids like pacifiers and
boiling,
stuff. It's
That's the kind of
boiling.
water I'm washing dishes in.
I
Like
mean, it's super
literally.
hot. Like I gotta wear gloves so that I don't burn my hands. So I
Wow.
But I wouldn't like do a yoni steam that hot to burn.
Yeah,
down
definitely not.
there
Definitely
I
not.
don't want to burn off the bacteria because I think there's
And
some
skin.
good bacteria down there.
No, there's definitely some good bacteria down there. It's called your normal flora, and you don't want to burn that off like at all.
Yeah.
And some people, you don't know that because who talks about it?
Right.
She said it with me now, so she's a little satisfied.
So would you say, and those are the myths that you're talking about, are these common myths mostly among men or mostly among women or both? Because
I
I'm
would say
wondering.
both.
Go ahead.
I would say both because it's like some of them are probably started by men or started by our parents or our grandparents. And then I think men kind of hold those up a little higher than us women. So,
Yeah.
women, you want to impress a man. So,
So men should go and buy this book, right? Because like it, even though it sounds like it's, oh, well, this is for women to go and, read on, it's really for men and women because men need to be informed on, the issues as well.
yes, as soon as it dropped, I sent it to my 21-year-old nephew because he's one of those on Facebook that I have to read him for filth sometimes.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't help, like, all the rap songs that say, like you said, Gina, earlier, they're saying all of these things, and it's like, oh, shut up, please don't. So yes, it's definitely for men and women because it will just help you along the way and kind of because eventually you're going to be married to a woman if that's your preference. So you want to know how to assist your wife and what's normal and what's unhealthy. Even I say women who partake in sex with women as well. Even when I was writing, I was like, oh, I gotta be careful with how I'm doing my wording. Just because I was saying a lot of things about sex and how you should be careful with, food and things like that. And I'm like, oh, you gotta think of it in each aspect. So
what about I know there's a part in the book where you talk about how even like men definitely need to read this book because of how their bodies might interact with their partners, their girlfriend or wife or whatever. If they only have a diet of, I think you said Hennessy and Pepsi, or that's all they drink.
Yeah, the chicken wings. What do you say? Chicken wings and fries. We don't go on dates. Yeah, so if he's only eating chicken wings and Hennessy, and it's like, the first thing that came to mind when I say something like that is, this is going to go on the sexual tip if I'm allowed to have this conversation.
Yeah, talk about whatever you want to.
Okay, talk about. So a lot of men, they want you to swallow, and I'm like thinking, you don't want to swallow just anybody. Well, you shouldn't do that anyway. But what you do is your choice. But thinking about somebody's diet, just because I've had a guy who just did not drink water, and it just grossed me out. And I used to think all the time, yeah, no, like I would never. Yeah. So like, yes, of course, they have a huge impact on a woman, especially when it comes to unprotected sex. And we get the safe sex talk, but a lot of us have unprotected sex. I mean, I got a 3-year-old running around here, so I got that somewhere. And when you have unprotected sex, and it could be if they don't shave a little bit, or if they are engaging with other women who aren't taking care of, not necessarily their hygiene or even understanding their body, and then you all have unprotected sex together. So yes, a man has a huge impact.
Nice information to know. Go ahead, Damon.
No. Go
Y'all
ahead.
need to drink water. Make sure you drink. What you drinking, Capel? Is that water?
That's coffee,
water.
I bet.
That is coffee.
Hennessy coffee. You got Hennessy in that coffee.
Hennessy coffee?
I have both. She's lying. Stop it, Edna.
Hennessy coffee.
And chicken wings.
I got my water and my coffee. I had chicken wings last night.
Yeah,
Are you eating chicken wings from the strip club for breakfast?
Stop telling my secrets, Kirsten. Stop telling my secrets. Nah.
It's okay.
Nah.
It's okay.
Yep. So Kirsten, go ahead.
Just to comment on what you just said, like about the strip club and wings. I never went to a strip club and ate food. Like I've been before, but I'm like, food. I don't know. There's something about, man, this like,
man, it sounds bad, but that food be hidden.
Like the combination of somebody in the back cooking and then women stripping is naked bodies. Where I'm like, I don't want to eat here. I go eat somewhere else. That's just a stigma for me. I've never eaten in the strip club before.
Yeah,
You
no, how
sure,
could you
bro?
not?
I don't
Man.
remember.
I
I
think
don't. I don't.
we
You
went
said
to
we. Y'all
yeah,
might
we.
have, but I don't. I didn't.
I think we went to Harlem Nights one time, man. And that
Harlem
was
Nights.
yeah, I think
Y'all went
I
to the
don't
butt
know, man.
naked.
That was a
This was like
minute
what
ago though.
2002 or something like that.
Yeah,
Something
that
like
was a man. I could
2003.
have
It was a long
because
time ago.
that's when I realized the strip club had some good food or whatnot. But
Yeah.
I don't
Great food, great
I
food.
don't do the same thing in the strip club that they do. I be sitting there talking to people, socializing, eating, drinking. You know what I'm saying? I've never gotten a lap dance, none of that type of stuff. They over there having a great time. You know what I'm saying? But maybe that's the difference.
No,
Compared.
we used to always go for the food, like, after the club, and we still hungry, and it was
Yeah.
only limited places that were still open, and you didn't want
Hmm.
to keep eating there. Man, that was the best food. And I had that same stigma. I didn't want to, then somebody let me taste their food, and I was like, oh my gosh, we used to just go in just to get the food.
I mean,
That's
that
so
makes
funny.
sense. I've heard people say, I mean, Lou Williams, freshman basketball player, he risked it all. Supposed to be playing in the bubble last year, the playoffs, and he missed a game, went to the strip club in Atlanta, had some wings, national news. So, yeah, them wings must
Man,
be
them
bomb
wings
hit.
at Dreams, I don't know if Dreams is still around, but man,
I,
and it was
like
some
it's
pasta that this pasta dish, man, just
somebody's auntie is in the kitchen at every strip club. I'm
For
convinced.
real. You know what
Like
I'm saying?
the auntie with the arms is in the kitchen in the
yes,
strip club.
definitely.
Like I'm. That's why I'm there. I'm gonna do everything at the strip club. I'm gonna talk to people because I'm obviously super social. But I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna get a dance. I'm doing everything. But
Yeah,
I'm not leaving without my chicken.
I'm
Like I'm
gonna
not.
eat. Yep.
already.
Me too. Yep. So Kirsten, so let's talk more about your doula services. So it's
Okay.
like, okay, I know that now I'm a mother, so I have
Okay.
my daughter in a hospital, but I do hear and I don't know if that has anything because I know some doulas probably, like you said, you work within the hospital systems too. I also see where people have natural births at home or wherever
Mhm.
they choose, and they'll have doulas or some type of assisted birthing nurse. So tell us a little bit more about that and what are the benefits? Because I think
Well,
when I had my child, maybe 14 years ago, in my head, I needed to be at a hospital with a doctor because if something goes wrong, but then especially in the Black community with women and the disparities with what's going
mhm.
on, healthy women are going in and not leaving, so
Right.
how can having a doula assist Black women or all women?
So I think having a doula kind of changes everything. And when one big thing that I like to say is because a lot of times when people think doula, they kind of like, okay, so we're going to do this at home. Not always. There's birthing centers around. There's the opportunity to give birth at home. It kind of just depends on the laws within the state that you live in. And also, it also depends on your health risk factors. So with me being a nurse, I kind of I don't want to say that some doulas will give you false hope, but if I feel like there's some safety, I'm going to recommend that we deliver in the hospital. I'm going to say, let's go for, the natural wing with the birthing tub and everything so that we can have those opportunities. But I want the OR to be right down the hallway in case an emergency happens because I've seen it all. I've seen somebody deliver in a birthing center, be rushed to the hospital and not come home with their baby.
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of like I think it's a great experience because you have your doula, you still have your nurse, or you can have a midwife. I mean, you still have your nurse. You'll always have a nurse while giving birth, and you have a midwife or your doctor, whichever you prefer, and you can still deliver within the hospital, within a birthing center, at home, and your doula will be your support person. Literally, she wants to take a picture of us on Zoom. So literally, your doula will be there from the moment that you find out either you're pregnant. So it could be 8 weeks from there on until you give birth. So you'll have that birth doula. They'll check in every week just to see how you're doing, to see how appointments go. They'll go to probably at least 2 appointments just to see if there's anything concerning for how you'll give birth or what you need to do. And then they'll be there the entire time from when your water breaks, if you want to start at home, if you want to deliver at home, until you go to the hospital. And they're your advocate. So I had a delivery maybe 2 weeks ago. It was in the hospital, and she was young. She's not even 21. The father was a truck driver, so he wasn't there a ton. And her mom was there. There was a lot going on, but I was literally there to, I'm I'm not sure if y'all know this yet. I'm not a quiet person. I'm not going to be quiet, and I'm not going to just let people walk over anyone in the medical setting, because there's a lot of times you don't know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
And I love that I've been a labor and delivery nurse before. I've delivered babies and I work in the medical field. So you can't come in and talk around me. You can't come in and, like, if you're touching the IV pump, I'm like, okay, what are we doing? Are we turning the Pitocin up? What's next?
Yeah.
Or like, I left out of the room and I say my patient, but like every client that I've had, their family from that point on. I walked out of the room and she was still in the same position for about an hour. And once you get an epidural, you can't, if anyone's had an epidural before, once you have one, you can't move. So
Yeah.
if you're trying to get the baby out, you should never be in that same position for an hour. And I had left to go get food. Like, we're still early in the stages. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to go for a second, get things situated for my daughter so that she's off to the sitter. And when I came back, she was still in the same position. So, yes. Okay, so where's the nurse at? Do you need help? We can put her in a different position. Like, why is she still in the same position? And they were like looking at me like, are you serious? Yes. We need to move her. So the doula will be your advocate, because things can go wrong, or you can be talked around, or you can have an option that you weren't even given. Like, a lot of people who've had C-sections in the past, a lot of doctors will say, oh yeah, we just need to have another C-section. My sister had 2 C-sections, and that third baby, we delivered it vaginally.
Right.
With me on her side. So
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, you're right. There's so many things they tell you that you can't do, and we don't know. We'll just accept it for a fact and put everything in our body. And, I don't know. But you said something. I was thinking, and this is my ignorance, that midwife and doula are the same thing. So what's the difference?
So that's a very common. So don't say ignorance. I think everyone gets confused with that, because they're in the same because they're along the natural side of things, I guess I should say. So a midwife has to have nursing experience. A midwife has to have a degree in nursing before they even go to school to become a midwife. So they're usually called nurse midwives, and they're essentially your physician. You don't need a doctor at that point if you have a midwife, because they have the license to deliver your baby. Okay. Now, a doula does not need any degree in medicine at all. You can literally get a 3-day training and become a doula.
Okay.
But it typically won't work if you don't have the passion or the experience.
Gotcha.
I heard that Erykah Badu was a doula now. Did y'all
hear
that?
Yes.
You become a doula, and I was like, girl, whose babies are you?
I mean, she got experience.
She is not. I could definitely see her as a doula, because she's not delivering the baby. There's still a midwife or a physician involved. So she's that support. If she was in the labor room where I had Harlem, I probably would have been a little bit, I was chill regardless, but I probably would have had a cool vibe. You've been going around. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well,
y'all won't
I would have liked to have her.
Y'all won't forget this show.
Hey, this is all what being a mom is about. Like, you have to juggle it. Yeah. So it is what it is. So, gosh. So it's like, okay, what are some things that you've been seeing? So we talk about the death rate in America. Like, we're in supposed to be the country that has the most money, supposedly top tier healthcare, which that's up for debate. And yet you still have women, particularly Black women, dying. Educated Black women, not women that don't have insurance, women that have everything that you're supposed to have, but they're coming in healthy, leaving in a casket or whatever, being picked up by the coroner. So what are some things, like what is different? Or when you're in these hospitals, and are you seeing, like, people always say that doctors think Black women don't feel pain, or they think that we can, they don't have to do anything for us because we can take it. Do you see these things going on when you're in the delivery room?
Definitely. I see it within medicine, period. I see it even with pediatrics, and with, this is a little bit more personal, but even with sickle cell patients within the hospital, and how, we're in an opioid crisis. So a ton of times a lot of physicians don't believe the pain that sickle cell patients are in. It's easy for me and my daughter because she's 3 and you can see it and she's going to scream and holler. But when you get to those teenage ages and those adults, they have terrible health care. Okay. In regards to being a Black woman or being a Black man. And when it comes to the medical field, I think sometimes that's where the unconscious bias comes in. Sometimes it's implicit bias. Some people will straight up not hide it. So it won't always be overt. So I don't think that's why a lot of white people don't see it, and they're kind of like, okay, like we're not doing anything. We love everybody. But unconsciously, when you're walking in the room and you're doing things, you don't, because you're overlooking those things. You're believing that what she's saying is not true, or you're kind of, sometimes I think I can even see this in the last delivery. Like my client, I say this because we're all here together. It was a little dramatic, but she was young, but I think as someone that isn't from our culture, they could look at it and, look at it differently. But I just looked at, she was scared. She was scared. She was the father of the child was gone. He was on the road. She was, delivering her first child, and things were just going crazy. But there wasn't any comfort from anybody else in the room but me.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like you need to reassure her like everything's gonna be. But I'm literally like, me and her are forehead to forehead, and I'm like, it's going to be okay. Like we're in this together, and like just stop screaming. We're gonna take this, and you're gonna have a baby in your arms in a second.
So they're not treating these women with like any care. It's basically like you just the next person, you the next number, in and out. Like
no, definitely.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that we're in the middle of a pandemic. Because at one point, sometimes they were only letting one person in. I missed a few deliveries during the pandemic because once one person came in, they wouldn't even let you switch the person out in the beginning of the pandemic. So like one of my clients, her mother came, she didn't even know she was going to deliver. She was like 32 weeks. She wasn't even ready. And they kept her and they were like, we're going to induce you. You need to have the baby. Her mom was there and I couldn't even come. So we had to do everything virtually. But a lot of doulas fought for us to be counted as the medical staff because you're taken away from the numbers of visitors. Like I had this happen last week when I walked into the room. Dad was there in the beginning of the, I wouldn't say delivery because we weren't delivering baby yet, but delivery of labor. He was there in the beginning of the labor, and he had to leave. So her mom and the dad was there, and then I walked in the room, and they were kind of like, we can have two. Rewind. I'm a part of your medical staff. I don't count as the visitors, and I'm here to help her. But doulas, not just Black doulas across the world, like I'll give it to all the doulas. They fought for that, for us to be counted as the medical staff, and to not, even if it was somebody's husband is there and their mother's there, your doula is just different. It's just different. Like you feel like you can be vulnerable with your doula. I don't know how to explain, but it's a different feeling.
So I have a question about just even getting a doula. So is this for people that are listening? Is this something that an individual has to try to, find like in a directory? Is this something that insurance sometimes will cover? Is this like a mental support type thing? Like what aspect of this, how is this accessible to people that are delivering babies that maybe cannot afford an additional expense?
So I'll say that it's different in every state. Some states will cover doulas under your insurance and some will not. Missouri does not cover doulas under your insurance, so it'll be another expense. Like we can't even bill insurances. We could bill them like Medicaid. We can't bill anybody for doula services. So that's something that a lot of doulas are fighting for as we speak. But it's pretty accessible. If you go to Google and you just Google doulas in my area, or if you go to the DONA International, that's like all the doulas around the world, you can search for doulas that are donor registered within your state, and they'll send you like right to their website. So I'm not sure if you are linked to our website because all of my doulas are donor certified. So DONA is like I don't know what to compare it to, but the certification sites that kind of say like, oh, the stamp of approval, essentially.
Yeah.
Because like I said, this is a 3-day course. You don't need any education. So to have that stamp of approval is a little different.
Okay.
So you can just do your research. And I say, don't choose a doula off of your first conversation. I tell every client before we talk to them, we're going to have a consultation and we're going to see if this works for both of us, not just me, but for you as well. Because obviously, like I still work full time. I'm a mother, and I'm a mother of a sick kid. So sometimes we're in the hospital for a week span. And I will tell you, like, I don't know if this will be the best option for you because this is your first child and I want to give my all to you. And I'm not sure. So literally you want to shop for it just like you shop for anything. You shop for a new phone or you shop for a new TV. What works for you? Who works for you? And if some people charge for consultation, some don't. We don't. And currently, we're pretty new within the St. Louis area. And because I have a full-time job, and this is terrible that I can't find it in me to charge for services. I've tried. I said like the first 2 clients would be absolutely free. And I said after that, then I'll just start, I have the things to do like a sliding scale and do payment plans and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't. I don't know. I just like the last 2 clients tried to pay me. And, like her mom was like, I'm paying for everything. My client who's in her young 20s, she was like, I'm paying for everything. I'm like, no. First, because I came onto her really late. Like I came in her 7th month of pregnancy.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, I just feel like, we got this on the rest of the months and delivery. And like every day I see her mom now because St. Louis is super small. And I work at a school and she has a daycare. So she picks up kids. And don't ask me why my principal has the school nurse out doing the dismissal line, but that's who's outside doing the dismissal line. So I see her mom every day and she's like, just be prepared that we're going to do something really nice for you. I'm like, no, like you don't have to, because I have a full-time job. I get paid for, being a nurse. And this is something that's just more dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Just because I know what it feels like to be in the delivery room alone, even if it's by choice, because I'm sure I could have not been alone, but I know what it feels like to be in that room alone, or even to feel alone, even as a nurse. Like I've had clients who are nurses, and like I don't even feel like my doctor tells me things, and I'm not sure if it's because I'm a nurse and he just thinks I know everything,
Mm-hmm.
or does he just not tell anybody anything? So I know how different that experience is to have a doula by your side. One day I'll probably charge for services. Me and my sister, we just say things like, if you want to give us a donation, and some people do like hefty donations, and some people, but it's what you can afford. I know some people can't afford services.
Allow them to, if they want to do donations, I say do that because
They do. We do.
Yeah, okay, all right. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about epidurals? I had to step off for a second. I'm sorry if you talked about it already.
No, I didn't. You're okay.
As far as it being, are they necessary? Are they good, bad? Because I hear a lot of times they may end up piercing like a disc or something like that or whatnot. So you may have back problems,
Are they necessary? No, they are not necessary because it's just it's a medical
like a
luxury.
Yeah.
And to relieve pain. And we know women have given birth without it. So it's not necessarily necessary, but sometimes it will assist in things. You have your patients who have high blood pressure. And just imagine being in pain at the same time giving birth and you get an epidural. And that kind of mellows things out after you have that epidural. You don't have blood pressure issues through your entire delivery. But there are negative aspects to an epidural. Of course, you have the risk of, things can go wrong because you're introducing a new medication. And we all know most epidurals, they have we just talked about the opioid crisis. They use fentanyl.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most deadly drugs that are out right now on the street. So there's risk of that. There's risk with, you're pregnant, you're holding a human inside of you while you're also getting these harder drugs. So sometimes I know when I was in labor, like I kept having D cells, and D cells are when your baby's heart rate just go down and your baby is in some sense of distress. And typically, because this is a human that you can't see, they can't tell you why your baby's in distress. So it could be the Pitocin, which is another story, or it can be the epidural. So I'm one of those that, even though I'm for natural things and I'm still going to be there for you if you get an epidural. That doesn't change me being
Yeah.
your doula or not. We did the last delivery I did, we had an epidural because there's those instances where you don't go into labor naturally. So like my sister that I was speaking of, who had 2 C-sections in the past, and they induced her in order to have the next baby. I highly recommend whenever you're induced, because when you introduce, which if you don't want to, I won't push it, because I've had deliveries where people deliver on Pitocin and no epidural. But to get you into a state of being comfortable, I recommend it. I just, as a medical professional, I'm going to watch as we go. So I can't speak for everybody.
Yeah,
It's just kind of a, no delivery has ever been the same for me. And I've delivered on the nursing side and I've delivered on the doula side. So it's kind of what works for you.
Okay,
There's pros and cons to an epidural, definitely. I had an epidural, so I'm not one of those like, you better not get it. I did, I sure did. You see, you get the same reward when you're done with the baby. I mean, done with delivery, a baby.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, I had one too. Yeah.
So I have a question.
I mean, and
So
I had a birthing plan. Like I had an entire birthing plan. I'm like, when I go in, we're gonna listen to Erykah Badu. I still listen to Erykah Badu. We had I think I delivered to Lauryn Hill when Harlem came out. Like my doctor was singing Lauryn Hill and everything. But I was like, I'm gonna go natural. I'm not gonna get an epidural. But things changed. My water broke and I wasn't changing. I was like 1 centimeter for 6 hours. So they had to bring out the Pitocin and induce me. So once things changed as a medical professional, I'm like, yeah, come on, doctor, let's go.
Mike Tyson said it best. Everybody got a plan until you get punched in the nose.
Exactly.
That is real talk.
So if you don't want to divulge this information, it's totally fine, because I know it's your book and you may like not want to give any specific details. But what would you say the number one myth is out of the 15 myths in your book? Like, what's the top one?
I'm looking so it's an ebook, but I finally got a proof of like the paperback. I don't know.
Yay, congratulations.
Okay, yeah.
That's a good question. Like number one. I don't know.
I think comment on that.
I think the last one is like really big on. It's really the whole pussy smells like roses and butterflies.
Yeah.
And pineapples
and pineapples.
Yeah, Regina, what you gonna say?
I was gonna say something along those lines, like a common myth is like if you're smelly down there, then it means you're dirty, and that might not be the case. I noticed in the book you say stuff you talk about BV a lot, and I was like, what is she talking about? What bacterial, is BV? Bacterial vaginosis. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that person in that one episode that I was talking about when we talked about the smelly person in my life, it turns out that's what it was. Wow. So thank you, Ebony, for the referral to the medical professional that was able to help, because
that's great.
It had been a couple of years where this person was walking around with that stench that made my stomach hurt and my head hurt. And I couldn't figure out how to tell this person that they didn't smell like roses, even though we know that that's not what we're supposed to smell like, but we're not supposed to smell like.
But you know what you're not supposed to smell like, right?
Good Lord. I was like, God, I can't. Are you even taking a bath? What are you doing? So, and
that's the crazy thing when it comes to like the hard thing is BV kind of symbolizes trichomonas as well, which is actually a STD. But I feel like trichomonas just smells like way worse. But I don't care how many baths you take. It's just not gonna do it. It's not going to help anything. It's not gonna. You need some Filagil, sis. That's it.
What men are having? Are these men that have these stigmas and stuff like that, or whatever, like about the smell and stuff? Are we talking about kids like 18, 19 or something like that?
No, we're talking about grown men.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think it is kids.
These are men everywhere. Yeah,
if I've had these arguments on Twitter with grown men.
Yeah.
Grown.
And they're arguing what it's supposed to smell like.
Oh, women too. Like, you know, I smell like. Okay, if you smell like water, sure.
But I think when women are saying these things, sometimes I've seen some of these arguments back and forth, and I'm thinking to this woman's side eye, like, you just saying some of this stuff just to get the approval of a man because you got a vagina. So, I'm not saying everybody's walking around with bacterial vaginosis or and all that, but we all know it takes, you have to live, right? So we have cycles in our life, a cycle every month where your body goes through and the odors change.
It don't smell like water then?
No, it doesn't smell like water, but it doesn't, I mean, I don't know what water, I mean, water's different, different regions. I don't know, but like,
Flint water.
Flint water. You wrong for that. But it does, it makes it very difficult because you can't be a woman and go home and tell a man like, if he's seeing this everywhere, nobody's being honest, having honest conversations like, hey, this is what it is, but like our bodies tell us stuff. It's even like, sometimes like you eat your asparagus and you pee, it's telling you what it tells what you just had. So no different than any other bodily fluids that men have with or women, so I'm not a doctor or a medical professional, but I've had a vagina long enough, so
I know
a little bit.
I don't know what it's supposed to smell like, but Lil Wayne say it's delicious.
He likes all the flavors, baby. Wayne say he like all the flavors.
Remember that Dave Chappelle skit? Did anybody see the Dave
dog
Chappelle?
food?
Yeah, don't talk about Lil Wayne. So pussy juice. This is pussy. Anyways, but yeah, no, that's really interesting. It is interesting. The reason why I wanted to know, like, ask you what your opinion is on the top myth or what you think the top myth is because I was just curious. I mean, of course, we all have heard things about the vagina, and one of the most common that is really what you just said is about the smell of it. I mean, even I remember when I was working in Dallas, I'm in education as well, and I work at a school as well. And I remember when I used to work in Dallas, little 12-year-old girl walked by and he was like, "Ooh, I smell tuna fish." So the myths, the idea of that is ranging from probably elementary. This kid was in 6th grade, so I mean, ranging from elementary all the way to adulthood. So it is definitely something that is out there. And this book that you wrote is just one step in trying to clear those myths up. So I'm glad that you wrote the book. And I think that people, can you show the book, show the cover so people can see?
It has like the not for resale thing on it, but it's just a proof.
Okay. And that version is going to be out soon too, to be able to buy the paperback version?
I'm going to brunch today with my friends, so we're going to kind of look over it because everything is self-published, so everything has been edited by my friends and me, who are all educators or nurses. So we're going to look this over today at brunch, and it probably should be out this week. Amazon literally prints on demand, so it'll be really something you just order, and Amazon will print it on demand.
All right, that's what's up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any plans for like a book launch release party, or like how can people get autographed copies, things like that?
I have no clue. My best friend was like, because it was supposed to just be the ebook, and then everybody was like, "Kirsten, I need something in my hands." I'm like,
we old school.
Because and you know what's crazy? I made the ebook, and I won't even purchase the ebook while I'm in school right now. So I don't know why I thought that everybody would be down for the ebook. But I mean, you can still have the ebook and it goes straight to your phone. But it's way more expensive to publish a paperback. And I never did this before. So I was like, okay, ebook is simple, come straight to your phone. Whoever the publisher is will get, their percentage, and you'll get your royalties. But then when you do a paperback, it's percentage for the publisher, your royalties, and how much it costs to print one book. So I'm kind of like, you won't make that much money off of a paperback, but if that's what the people want, I'll give the people what they want.
I like the ebook because, I like paperbacks too, but I like the ebook because I noticed that certain words were hyperlinked.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I click on, whatever the hyperlink, it'll take me to the research or the definition or something like that, which is good because not everybody is well versed in medical terminology or, some of the more like are less known, I guess, illnesses or whatever that can affect the vaginal area. So if I wanted to know more about that, I could just click the hyperlink and it will take me there, which is cool about it.
That was the cool thing about the ebook. Yeah. and because like, I'm speaking from a ton of experience, but a lot of this is, information that is research based. So we'll take you straight to the source.
Right.
I have a question about. I saw some breakthroughs supposedly that they made in sickle cell or whatnot. Research and stuff like that, probably in 2020. So
Mm-hmm.
is that? I mean, because I know that it's personal to you.
Yeah.
Is that just breakthrough as
So
far as research, or has it come to market yet? Or
it's different in different areas. So I know
yeah.
they've done 2 different 60 minutes on it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
one girl was like in the UK, I want to say. It's not offered. I will say it's not offered here at St. Louis at our children's hospital because
Yeah,
I asked my doctor, well, her doctor,
straight up.
because they can't get anything past me either, and I'm gonna ask a ton of questions. But it's one of those things that's kind of in the research phase. So there are people who have been cured for a few years or adults, they haven't of course done this in children yet.
Yeah,
And it's gene therapy, so they take the
exactly.
genes and they mutate your own genes. And I think a lot what's really hard for it is they use HIV to do this.
Mm.
um so it's I don't know all the science, so disclaimer, a lot of the things that I'm saying are from the 60 minutes I've
Yeah,
watched.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's like a whole phase of them mutating the genes, putting the things back in. Like literally, it's such a risk of dying in the process of doing this that
Really?
they
Oh,
have to, because you have to literally suppress that person's immune system with chemo before you can
mm,
do it's going to turn into a bone marrow transplant. So they're going to change those genes and then do the transplant. But before the transplant, you have to go through chemo. They literally lose all of their hair. They go through the phases of the thrush where they can't taste, and then like it's
yeah.
terrible.
Wow.
So they have to make sure that all of the kinks are out before they can roll that out everywhere.
Yeah.
And this
Okay.
So
is going to
there's
cure sickle cell. It's going to like you won't
mhm,
have it anymore. Oh,
you're completely cured. So when you change that DNA, you're changing that sickle trait that causes all the problems in sickle cell. You have a whole new, essentially, kind of a DNA, because sickle cell is a genetic disorder. So they're
Yeah.
manipulating the DNA.
so do they think that over time this will like eradicate sickle cell? Because if over time this becomes like a normal treatment and then you get rid of that trait, will that trait carry on to other people, or it won't affect the person that goes through it?
I think that's why they haven't became mainstream, because you still have all of the adults who already have the trait who can, like, if I have another kid, I can still pass it, but there's nothing you can do to stop me from passing it on to
Yeah.
my next child. So I think there's a lot of things that they need to figure out first, because yes, it'll cure that one person, but what's next for them in their life? um,
Yeah.
what does that look like? Because there's also a different method in curing sickle cell, which I kind of was trying for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you have a parent, there's some people who literally, I'm scared to death to do this, but they try having another kid
Mm-hmm.
with their husband or that same partner, and that child could have the same DNA but not have sickle cell.
Yeah.
You can take their bone marrow and treat your child and
Mm,
cure them of sickle cell.
yeah.
Mm.
But you take the risk if you do it the old fashioned way of having another child with sickle cell, because you both have the sickle cell trait. So it's like I know there's a family here in St. Louis. They're pretty well known. They have, I think, 4 children. They're married, and they had 2 with sickle cell, and they had 2 without.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the daughter ended up being a match to both of the children with sickle cell, and they did the bone marrow transplant and cured both of her other kids with
Man,
sickle cell.
can
Wow.
can if I have to get a bone marrow transplant, if I have to see if I'm a match, can they put me to sleep? Like, do I gotta be, because I heard that is painful.
That's the thing. I hear, well, I know how it was really, because they do that whole lumbar puncture thing. But I think
Yeah.
medicine has kind of advanced, because this is another vulnerable moment, which I don't care about sharing. I asked the same question because I was in the process. I was seeing a fertility doctor, me and her father,
Yeah.
for us to, because I wasn't, first of all, I wasn't going to try the old fashioned way with him again. at all.
Yeah.
But we were willing to do the fertility portion to where that we would hand, this is kind of, what's the word I can use? It was an ethics thing. So before I say this, some people might feel a certain way about it.
Yeah.
We were handpicking our next child to be a perfect match to Harlem and to also not have sickle cell. So we're gonna take my eggs out and do genetic testing. And I was like, okay, so I'm doing this, but is this gonna be harmful to the next child? Like, I didn't want anything that would be traumatic to my next child. And they're like, no, we would do the most least invasive. And they could take, I don't know if any of you all donated your child's cord blood when you had your baby. They could take cord blood right when I had the next child and use some of that. It could be enough or it could not. So there are less invasive and more simple ways to do the bone, because that's what we would have did. We would have did a bone marrow transplant with the next child, but it's like super pricey, and I was willing to pay it, but you have to find a team of fertility doctors that are all in agreement to do it because of the ethics behind it. So like I had to agree that even if we couldn't, like they took all of my eggs out and they fertilized them and none of them were a perfect match to Harlem, I had to agree that I would implant one still in order for them to do that. And when they said it, like I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I was lying, but I was just trying to get through the process. Just being honest, like I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But I had to, sit and think like, I have no desire to have another child because of everything that we go through. Like I've wanted more children and to do it, but I feel like it'll be selfish to the next child and selfish to her as well. So I was saying yes to them, but I was like, oh no. So there are ways to cure, but they aren't. Nobody's had that conversation. The only reason I know about this is because of my medical experience.
Oh, okay.
They're not gonna outright tell you, go see your fertility doctor to do this. It was kind of I went to the drawing board like, what can I do? Because we had a sick year, and I was like, I'm sick of this. I'm like, if I'm sick of it, I know she's sick of it.
Straight up.
So there's ways, but nothing is mainstream or nothing. They can't call it a cure because it's not available to everyone.
Yeah. That's what it is. You was just talking about the going to the fertility doctor and stuff. Like it seems like we're gonna end up like, I don't know if y'all seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I know Capel has.
Yeah.
But they got a people called the Sovereign people. They were like golden people and stuff, and they don't have sex anymore or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They
the old ways. Old ways.
Yeah, sex is the old way. So now they just I guess do some kind of like what you talking about, just take eggs and implants and stuff like that or whatever and have kids like that. I like the old way.
I mean, I like the old way too, because the old way is less expensive, one. And it's kind of fun,
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, let's keep the old way.
The old way is cool, but a lot of women have a lot of issues to where they can't have birth that way. So I'm so grateful that the medical community has advanced to where it does make it possible. I have someone very close to me that's been trying, and it's just not possible. And sometimes it's the woman and sometimes it's the man. So it is important to even know the resources out there for, the fertility and genetics and things like that. I recently went to I don't know if you call it a genetics doctor. I don't know the real terminology, but that's only because of my age. And my OBGYN was like, I just want you to go just in case you decide to have more children. And they found that I carry the trait. It's something I was trying to look for the name so that I could come up here like I know what I was talking about, but it's not sickle cell, but it's something that's closely related. I just don't remember what the exact name is. So they went through the gene or whatever. So somebody in my family, which I don't know if it's on my mom or dad's side, has passed it down, and it's something I've passed down. So then I had to send off my husband's spit so they can see if he has it. And so we haven't gone any further, but it doesn't matter that if he has the trait. I think what they explained to me is that he has to have it in a certain, oh gosh, I don't remember, but they did all the X's and I don't know, show me, so he has to have it a certain way. Yeah, he has to have it a certain way, and that will determine the child's health. So, but I do know, like years and years and years ago, way before I was even a thought, people had to take tests, medical tests. And I don't know what it was for. I can't remember. I think my grandmother and my mom was telling me before you got married in a lot of states, you had to take this test just to know what traits or whatever things that you had in your genes and your bloodlines before you got married to someone.
And I think it's important. It's super important in the Black community because a ton of us know and a ton of us don't know that we carry the trait. Yeah. Like you have, like I knew since I was a kid, like I used to always say, when I get married, me and my husband are going to get genetic testing and I'm going to be sure that, you know, we don't have these issues. And I wasn't married and he had no knowledge of what his genetics looked like. He didn't know for sure until we went to the fertility doctor and they made us both do genetic testing again. Because I found out like you that I had a different gene that I knew nothing about. And they were like, well, he doesn't carry it, so it wouldn't affect your child, the next child. But it's so, a lot of the organizer of the sickle cell board here, she kind of pushes even to get tested if you don't know, just because it's serious if, you know.
Yep.
So before we wrap up the show, do you have any Instagram handle, you know, something you want to share with the people that's watching so they can follow you and get all your good tips, you know, that you have for,
So I have two different Instagrams. We have an Instagram for Birthing Queens. So it's at b.queens314. I don't think that's the right one. Don't let me lie to y'all. Yes, b.queens314. That's our Instagram. And you can reach the doulas there. And we also sell these little cute mommy and me sets for moms after they deliver. Okay. So we have those and we ship nationwide. And then my Instagram is MSKIRRKIRR again, BABY. So that's my Instagram and that's my Twitter.
Wait, so it's MSKIRR and then another KIRR.
Baby.
Baby. Okay. All right.
Cool. Miss Kirker baby.
Yeah, Miss Kirker baby. Okay.
I have a funny story behind that, but yes.
And what about like Twitter or Facebook? Is it the same?
So my Twitter is the same. And then if you want to find Birthing Queens on Facebook, you could just search Birthing Queens. And then my Facebook name is Nurse K and then RN.
Nurse K, RN.
All right, cool. Well, Kirsten, we want to thank you for coming on the show. This has been very educational for me, and I know it's been very educational for everybody that's watching, as well as everybody else on the show. Yeah. Everybody watching, please remember to like and subscribe. You know, share. We appreciate, you know, you guys for always coming in and following the show. Anything y'all want to add before we wrap it up?
And we appreciate you coming on, Kirsten. We're going.
Thank you. And you can find the book on Amazon as well. You can download the ebook right now. And paperback should be available within the next week or so.
That's what's up. We're gonna have to have you on again to talk about some St. Louis stuff too, or whatever. I want to hear about
St. Louis certified. Just tell me when.
Already, that's what's up.
Thanks, little cuz. I appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me and Harlem.
Definitely.
Bye, Harlem.
she went away now. She got to see y'all. That's all she needed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Until next time.
Later.